Hey there guys, welcome back to Dogforge. My name's Paul and we're back today with another build. Today we're going to be taking two of my personal favourite subclasses, the Kensei Monk and the Battlemaster Fighter, and we're going to be smashing them together so that you can legitimately fight in D&D like everybody fights as children. And, no one can say anything because you'll be dropping some crazy damage even if you want to theme it so that you look like this. So, without any further ado, let's get into it. So we're going to be taking the monk, and we're going to be building on how the monk scales by giving it more attacks with fighter, and giving us access to maneuvers to layer more damage on top of that. Now, whilst the damage on this build is really respectable, 20th level you can get 8 attacks every short rest, and the character will completely recharge in a short rest. That's your key points, your maneuver die, your spear die, your second wind, and your action surge. You're also going to be able to get a reliable AC of 22 once you max out your 2 primary stats without spending any resources every turn. To top that off, you're going to get 6 ASIs and you only really need 4, so there is some room here to pump con if you want to be a little bit, tankier, or take some feats for either flavor or to push yourself into a different role, maybe with the healer feat. But now that we've gone through the highlights, let's get into the meat. So, for race, we're going to go with Ghostwise Halfling, which will give us a +2 to Dex and a +1 to Wisdom. Now, in terms of Dex Wisdom builds, I do favour the Halfling just because, personally, both as a DM and a player, I'm not really a fan of the Aarakocra cheese. That whole swooping in, and swooping back out and keeping a big distance. Personally not a fan of it, and it can go really wrong when you get cornered on your own or plummet from a high distance with that big fly speed to the ground. So we're going to be using Ghostwise Halfling. You're going to get a 25-foot movement speed, which is going to be quickly counteracted by your monk on our movement. You're going to be able to re-roll those ones, so our attacks are going to be a little bit more potent with the amount of d20s we're going to be dropping. And you're going to get advantage on saving throws against being frightened, and you're going to be telepathic. Now, you're either going to be all about that telepathy, using it whenever you can, or like maybe myself, you're going to forget that it's a thing, and every now and then you'll rediscover and go, oh yeah, I can do that. So in this guide, there's a reminder or two. Believe me, that's from personal experience. So with our point buy, again, the image is a snip of chickendinner.com, an excellent point buy calculating option. So we're going to start with a +3 to our dex, -1 to our strength, but we're not strength based, and strength is really used for so little in the game, we can safely dump it. A +2 for our con, intelligence a respectable average of 0, +3 to our wisdom, so our starting AC is going to be 16, and a -1 to our charisma. We're not really a face character. You can play the outsider, grew up in a monastery, you don't really have social skills, or you can just take proficiency in social skills, and then the proficiency bonus will counteract that negative. So skills wise, I'd recommend athletics and stealth, which you can get both from monk. Athletics will really patch the biggest hole that a negative strength gives us. The only thing left is strength saving throws, which, realistically, unless you find like a Trask or something, you're just going to be knocked prone or pushed, and whilst that can be temporarily bad, there's worse saving throws to fail. As always, I'm not really going to pick a background for you guys in this kind of build. This is open to your world and what you want to do with the character for a little bit of roleplay customization. Now, as we will be utilising the Battlemaster's maneuvers, here are some recommended maneuvers for you. Riposte, we're already making so many attacks, and our AC is going to be so high, enemies should be regularly missing us. So Riposte will let us take advantage of that and just get another attack out with even more damage. Precision attack, again, it's not something that I would frequently use on a build that wasn't built around smites or sharpshooter, great weapon, fighting, that kind of thing. But precision attack can be great for if maybe you're having like a bad night or you really need to put down that boss before people start dying. So it's a really good back pocket kind of thing. Trip attack, this is great to get off on your first attack just so that you can give yourself advantage on all subsequent attacks. And parry, reducing damage, I mean, that speaks for itself. Taking less damage is always better than giving up our extra attacks with bonus attack to second wind. So that's pretty self-explanatory. Recommended Kensei weapons. In terms of the ranged weapon, just the short bow, we are a short race, so heavy weapons are out for us, as our small stature would give us disadvantage on them. For melee, I'm going to give you kind of two options really. Now, the longsword is interchangeable. You can change the longsword with essentially what kind of damage type you want to do. You can pick, a warhammer, the exact same damage dice, versatile property, just bludgeoning instead. Now, being able to two-hand for that D10 is pretty nice, but as soon as we start dipping into fighter, we're just going to be one-handing it anyway. I think it's a little redundant personally. I would go for the rapier. Finesse sets up a potential rogue dip if you want to mix up the advice in the guide, or maybe your party's just missing that kind of expertise, thieves' tools kind of character. And as we'll be using dueling, the actual D8 damage gets pumped up to basically a D10 but more reliable, because you're going to get that flat +2. So, onto the level progression and play advice. So to start off, we're going to go 1 to 5, straight Kensei Monk. We're going to power straight on through to get the extra attack. So to start off, we're just going to be using a quarterstaff and we're going to two-hand it. And then, however you want to unarmed strike for your bonus action. Headbutt somebody's groin if you really want. You're a halfling. Terrorize their lower half. And again, remember you're telepathic. If you need to stealth around, or maybe just there's a tense situation and you need to communicate, what happens if this goes south, that telepathy is pretty good. Now level 2, we're going to get our nice little speed boost. So those wood elves that have been mocking you for being such a slow monk, well, now you can keep pace with them as you turn into your little windmill as you get flurry of blows. Now, patient defense is a decent option for defense if you find yourself at risk of going down. I wouldn't really use patient defense unless you really feared going down or the battle for the group overall is going poorly. Those key points are better spent on flurrying. Now, third level, we're going to get our Kensei subclass. So at this point, you do have the option of using your weapon, but I would strongly recommend that you just unarmed strike for your main attack, so you can get that +2 to AC, and now you're a level 3 monk with an 18 AC every turn. Level 4, we're going to pick up our first ASI, and we're going to trade it for a feat, specifically Second Chance from Xanathar's Guide to Everything. That's going to allow us to bump our dex by 1 to a +4, and it's going to allow us to, once per fight essentially, make an enemy reroll their attack against us. So it's a nice little bit of defensive action that doesn't really cost you anything else. You don't need a key point like you do for, patient defense. Level 5, your unarmed strikes are going to bump up to a d6, and you're now going to get extra attack. So if you did go for the longsword at this point, I would recommend that you two-hand for your first attack, or mix them up if I'm unarmed strike for the other, so that you're getting that ramped up damage, mixing damage types, and you're also still retaining that +2. Now, is, as a lot of my builds tend to, I'm going to give you guys some freedom here. If you feel like you don't have enough ki, or you're starting to encounter enemies that are going to have non-magical damage resistance, then I would strongly recommend you push forward to Monk 6, because otherwise you might find yourself lacking a bit. If you don't feel any of those things are really an issue, then we're going to continue as the guide states, and we're going to start dipping into our fighter to begin now. So, level 6, we're going to get a bunch of proficiencies we're not going to use, but we are going to get the dueling fighting style to bump our weapon attacks by a +2 damage, that is. And we're going to get second wind, which is a decent little heal that's going to keep us going. Level 7, going to get action surge for that Nova. Now, something I will point out is that you're going to get 2 attack actions here, but only 1 attack needs to be an unarmed strike in order to get the +2 AC. So make 3 Kensei weapon strikes and really max that damage. Now, moving forward, level 8, we're going to get Battlemaster as our subclass. So for maneuvers to start with, I'd recommend Trip, Riposte and Precision for your starting 3. And then you can pick up any others as you get them later on. Level 9, we're going to go for our first fighter ASI of so many. Whenever I make a build with a heavy fighter influence, it's... honestly guys, it's hard to choose what to do with all those ASIs. So with this, we're just going to bump our wisdom up to a +4, bringing up our armor class. Now again, we've got our key KEY, not KI. Now that we have our key fighter features, again, this is really, you've had a bit more time to play. I would recommend going to Monk again now, so that we can pick up those magic attacks and Death Strike. So we have the option of piling a little bit more damage on top, and we don't have to worry about our damage being greatly nerfed, because at this point, you're really going to start coming across that resistance a lot more often at level 10. But from here on, we're going to mostly move back to fighter. 5th level for fighter, level 11 overall is unfortunately dead for the most part. You're going to get more HP, you're going to get more second wind points, but we already have extra attack, so it's mostly dead. Level 12 is going to give us another ASI, which we're going to bump our wisdom for that 22 AC at level 12 in combat, and a higher stunning strike DC. Level 13, we're going to get another superiority die, 2 more maneuvers, so really recommend parry and then basically anything that takes your fancy for the other one. And another reminder, yes, you are telepathic, so if you're in a situation where you can know your enemy, you can relay that information silently to your party, so if you want to jump somebody, you're more organized. Level 14, so it's another ASI, guys. So depending how you feel your superiority die are going so far, I would strongly recommend Martial Adept to get another one. Or if you find yourself being the more frontline character, or maybe you're encountering more save-based damage, then you might want to take Tough to bump up that HP. Defensive Duelist would give you a nice reaction to actually just crank that AC up. Then it's going to be scaling as well with you, so Defensive Duelist is a strong option, but it is only once per turn for 1 attack, so I would push that to the bottom of the recommendations there. Level 15 overall, 9th level of fighter, we're going to pick up Indomitable, so bumping our defensive even more with that failed saving throw reroll. Going to get even more maneuvers, really take whatever you want here, guys, and our superiority die becomes a D10, so pumping that average damage up just a little bit. Level 17, now this is really the capstone of this build. Now that we have 3 attacks per action, We can make, without action surging, 5 attacks per round if we choose to flurry, or we can action surge and get 8 attacks. So we're really hitting our key feature 3 levels before the end, so if you guys want to play around with the last few levels in something else, feel free. Level 18, another ASI. So either bump con or maybe pick up a feat you haven't, you've been lusting after but haven't picked up yet. Or just if you want to fix that charisma so you can be more social, viable option too. This is our last level of fighter as per the guide. So it's going to leave us with 5 superiority die, 3 main attacks, 1 use with Indomitable, and a second wind of 1d10 plus 12, which is not bad for a free heal. So level 19, we're going to get more key now, as I'm assuming you guys have been getting a little bit antsy about spending it all too quickly. We're going to pick up Evasion, which is always great, and Stillness of Mind, which in those higher levels you might be getting subjected to those mental conditions a little bit more, so I think it's still relevant. Level 20, we're going to finish off with another key point and another ASI. Again, bump whatever you want, take whatever feat you want. I always recommend Magic Initiate just because, why not? Couple of scaling cantrips, maybe pick up Shield and go even more ridiculous with that AC. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this build. This has been the Dignified Windmill. So let us know what you think of the build in the comments down below. If you've got any suggestions or you do anything different, hit that subscribe button. If you liked it, give us a like, tell your friends about us, and we will see you next time here at Dorkforge.